Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to another episode of New Earth TV Live. Good to see you all again here today. Got some new appearances going. Now again, some of you may say, Brad, did you get a haircut? No, actually what happens is this is what takes place when you just go deeper into meditation, right? Your hair starts to fall out and you get a nice trim and you have a goatee and that's it. Yes, of course. Give myself a bit of a new look, new fresh look coming into the summer. So I'm happy with it. So anyways, hope you guys are giving yourself new fresh looks as well too. Thank you for being here today, everybody. So we're going to start off with some announcements as we always do, and then we're going to be getting into some group healing today, and then we'll be getting into some Q&A as well. So let's go ahead and start off with the announcements. Beautiful, sacred geometrical clothing, apparel, and accessories imbued with spirit source energy to heal, rejuvenate, detoxify, and strengthen the body. Shop now at healingcodeshop.com.
The latest revelation in alternative healing has arrived. The Healing Code Cards, a spiritual technology unlike anything else. Through the power of sacred geometry imbued with pure source energy, physical ailments can become eliminated and detoxified from your body. 36 cards specifically designed to work on the major areas of the body, encouraging natural recovery and increased vitality. Working with the cards are easy, and their healing results are profound. Download our collection of free sample cards so you can experience results for yourself. And don't forget to view our customer testimonials. Our printed Healing Code card deck is available now with shipping available worldwide. Visit our website at healingcodecards.com.
And also some additional information for the Healing Code cards is that the Healing Code cards Body Deck Special Edition is now available for pre-order. So you'll see the image here on the right. That's the custom tin box that is going to be coming with, I should say. So there are now going to be 44 Healing Code cards for the Body Deck Special Edition. The Mouth Throat Enhancer, the Hand Wrist Enhancer, the Foot and Ankle Enhancer, Bacteria Eliminator, Parasite Eliminator, Biotoxin Eliminator, Heavy Metal Eliminator, and a 30x Amplifier. So all cards are laminated for additional protection, because I've had a lot of people over the entire time I've had the Healing Code cards have asked, Brad, should I laminate these? Is it okay to laminate? I just don't want to damage them. Well, now you don't have to worry about it, because they are now going to be laminated for your protection as you get the special edition. And of course, a custom-made tin box for storage. So the pre-order sale is available right now until July 16th at $49.99, and then it will be increasing up to $55.99 for the Body Deck Special Edition, because we got some extra cards, we got a big box that comes through, the lamination, everything. It's a little bit of extra cost. So again, this is why the price is going up a little bit with it. And it's a bit of a bigger deck as well too. So again, Body Deck Special Edition now available. Go to healingcodecards.com to pre-order now. All right, and the Body Deck version 1 is still available, right? The 36 cards, that's available also online and through Amazon as well too. Next year, there's going to be the Mind Deck Special Edition as well too. So I will also be creating the Healing Code Cards Mind Deck as a 44 card deck as well. And this summer, I'm going to be creating the the Energy deck. And the Energy deck is going to have 44 cards naturally, and it'll come into a tin box and laminated as well too. And then, of course, the next summer after that, I'll be creating what's known as the Encore deck, right? And that'll be 44 cards, and we'll have its own tin box and laminated as well too. After all 4 decks are done, then I'm going to be creating an app. Okay, so there'll be a Healing Code Cards app that will be coming in. It'll be phenomenal. It won't just be cards. You're looking at meditations, you're looking at videos, you're looking at tutorials, you're looking at practices, you're looking at exercises. It's going to be a really incredible app. That's a couple years down the road now, but I'm still thinking about it. It's brewing up in here. So I'm looking forward to when I get to roll that out. But again, we got 2 more decks to come, 2 brand new ones, Energy deck and Encore deck, as well as the Mind Deck Special Edition. So all of them in the long run will be 44 cards laminated and put into a custom-made tin box. So exciting stuff. Moving on, Adronis Q&A forum is happening next Sunday, June 20th at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. Registration is $4.99. and you can register on Zoom. Actually, you can register on Zoom right now. The link is up at newearthteachings.com. Had a really great time with the first episode. Has some great questions there. It's also on Vimeo on demand right now, the first episode. So I'm looking really forward to episode number 2. And you guys can ask any questions you want, whether it's personal or general in nature, with Adronis. After this second episode, the next webinar to come will be Adronis Off-World Liaison. All right, so that's a webinar to come where I'll be talking about making contact with a personal liaison that you will be able to use certain exercises with to connect with them, kind of like my connection with Adronis. You'll be able to have your own particular contact as you perform these exercises and practices. Adronis is going to go into detail with it, but that'll be in a couple weeks. Okay, so this will be 2 weeks after the episode number 2 Q&A form. Okay, so we're going to go ahead now and get started with today's broadcast. Again, thank you, everybody. Glad to see everybody here. People from Arizona, great. That's the only person that said anything about Arizona. Okay, well, you guys can always say where you're from. I'm always happy to announce where you're from. Right? It's always fun to see other people from all around the world tuning in to New Earth TV Live as well, too. Now, another thing as well, too, is that the newearthtv.live website is going to be closing down on August 1st, right? So there's going to be a closing down of that website. The Spirit Ambassador Classroom video recordings are going to be on newearthteachings.com. I'm basically doing this because there's not really a lot of activity on the newearthtv.live, and basically just cutting back on some expenses. So that will be available to August 1st, the newearthtv.live website. So what I suggest is just everybody go to Telegram, right? Telegram is free, and being able to just go there, we have a really good community there. You can find the link to Telegram in the video description here. There's, of course, I'm also on MeWe as well too. For those of you again who do not like Facebook, I definitely agree with that. But I'm still on there for the purposes of 5,000 people that I have on friends lists. So that's the only reason I really stick around with Facebook, is because I have all of these friends on my personal profile, and I got a lot of contacts on the pages as well too. So that's mainly why I stick around. The only reason why I stick around. But again, go on to Telegram, check out MeWe, and social community will continue. Okay, so everybody, we're going to go ahead and get started. First thing we're going to do is chakra clearing. Okay, we're going to do chakra clearing first, and we'll go on to black ball, white ball technique. And then we'll move on into Q&A with Adronis and I. All right. So, hello, people from Denmark, from South Africa, from London. I thought someone said I'm in the sun. Oh, okay. That's JP Powers. I'm in my backyard in the sun. Oh, okay. I thought you were saying I'm in the sun right now. Oh, that's interesting. How did you get there? Hi from London, Palm Springs, California. Great, guys. Thank you. Glad you're all here. And that none of you are in the sun. That's great. All right. We all know about the sun, right? Doesn't have its own heat, doesn't have its own light. Right? So you should maybe just be fine if you can stand the radiation. Okay. So let's just get ourselves nice and relaxed, nice and comfortable. So we're now going to go ahead and get started with the chakra clearing exercise. All right. So just keeping your spine nice and erect. You can place your hands upon the center of your chest if you wish, or put them on your lap, whatever you feel is best. You can either sit down or lay down for this exercise. And again, just as we have done before, we are linking the chakras to the appropriate glands and cells of the body. Okay, this is very much in regards to what Edgar Casey has shared pertaining to the seals, or the chakra centers altogether. All right. So, for me, I'm just going to place my hands upon the center of the chest, and I'm just going to focus again on the medium tone red color of the root chakra, okay, linked directly to the genitals, okay, to the reproductive organs, to the testes and to the ovaries, okay, and just seeing that red color within my mind now. We're going to Om chant. So like I said, you want to put an emphasis on the sound, okay? So when you're doing Om, the O, it's pretty short. Going right into the you want to really feel the vibration and feel that chakra vibrating. And that's how you're cleaning it out, purifying it, okay? So focus now on the root chakra, medium tone red, connected to the genitals. Taking a deep breath in. Okay. Moving up now into the sacral chakra, or navel chakra, colored orange. Okay, and this is connected to the Leydig and Hylar cells, tissues within the reproductive organs, the testes and ovaries. Okay, Leydig and Hylar cells. Seeing the color orange, deep breath in. Moving up now into the solar plexus chakra, colored yellow, connected to the adrenal glands. Deep breath in. Moving on now to the heart chakra, colored green, linked directly to the thymus gland. Deep breath in. Moving on now to the throat chakra, the thyroid gland, colored ice blue or aqua. Okay, deep breath in. Moving up now to the third eye chakra, colored ocean blue or indigo, whichever you prefer, linked and connected to the pineal gland. Deep breath in. Finally, moving up now to the crown chakra. Again, we're not focusing on the top of the head, but we're focusing on the pituitary gland, colored violet. Deep breath in. Okay. And that is the chakra balancing. Now, because I'm wearing headphones, I was not able to plug the ears, but that's another thing you can do for added resonance, right? Really feel the vibratory energy. If you're basically putting your fingers in your ears and then vibrating the sound, you get a much more stronger vibratory resonance as you clean out your chakra centers. So like I said, even if you guys just do this once a week with me, you're in great shape, right? If you can do it every single day, then you're solid, right? So I can't recommend this enough. It's great to just being able to clear out the energetic nervous system of your body, the chakra centers, and again, corresponding them, linking them together to their appropriate glands and cells. All right. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the second part now, which is the black ball, white ball technique. Okay. I'm pretty sure most of you, many of you here are regulars, so you pretty much know the whole routine. For those of you who are here for the very first time, you can always go back to these recordings as well too, and feel free to continue to work with either the chakra clearing or the black ball, white ball technique. Again, the black ball, white ball technique is on my YouTube channel, so you can always check it out, as well as the clarity technique. Okay, clarity technique, really powerful, really amazing. Check it out if you haven't checked that out already. All right? I know a lot of people run to the Earth Intelligence reports. As soon as I put up the Earth Intelligence reports, thousands and thousands of people go there. But when I put up a healing video, it's a little bit slower. Let's get into the personal care, guys, the self-care, the self-work. Very, very important. Can't emphasize that enough. Okay? All right. So, connecting now with the black ball, white ball technique. Let me just scoot a little bit more this way so I'm more center. All right. So you can place your hands upon the center of your chest. We're going to see a black ball contained in the center of the chest. And we're now just going to see a green beam. Just imagine like a green scanning beam coming up to the top of the head, going all the way down nice and slowly. And you're just being aware of if there is any tension within the body, any stress, any tension, any stiffness, okay, any discomfort. And just feeling that scanning beam going all the way down to the bottom of your feet. And now you may notice these particular pockets contained within your body that would basically have this stress energy, or as we would say, black liquid dense energy. Okay. So with the black ball in the center of your chest, just being able to see the black root coming out and connecting directly to those areas of the body where you see that black liquid dense energy. All right. And now we're just going to see the black root wrapping around those areas. So let's say, for example, if you have a headache, right, you can see black liquid dense energy there, taking the root, connecting directly to the head, right, specifically where the headache is severe. Same thing if you have a stomach ache, stomach cramps, shoulder tension, whatever it may be. Okay, you're just seeing black liquid energy deposits there, and you're wrapping the black roots around them. Okay, next thing we're going to do is we're going to go into the apologetic affirmation. All right, so like I said, most of you here pretty much know what I'm talking about. If this is your first time, just repeat after me. All right. I apologize to my body for being neglectful regarding this condition. I ask for my body's forgiveness, as well as its assistance, to clear away these conditions, releasing them to spirit, to be purified and forgiven in totality. And so it is. Okay? Now that we have done that, we're now just going to see the black roots, or the black liquid dense energy, moving up through the black roots and depositing it directly into the black ball. So I'll give you guys a few moments to do that now. Just feeling the black liquid energy flowing through the black roots, coming directly into the black ball. Okay, and so as you feel the black liquid dense energy in the ball, we're now going to reinforce all of that energy with white light, all right, or basically with white liquid. So we're basically going to work to turn the black ball into a white ball, right? So this is where you're going into your mind, right? Firstly, we're going to just take a deep breath in, deep breath out, and now we're just going to go into our mind, and we're just going to look at positive reinforcement, all right? We're going to re-stimulate ourselves. So what we do is we just look at the opposite of how we're feeling. If we feel like if we feel stiffness, if we feel harshness, then we're looking into the opposite effect. We're feeling compassion, we're feeling joy, we're feeling happiness, we're feeling love, okay? So I just want you to imagine you're just looking into your mind right now, and you're just taking that positive thought, that positive energy, and just putting it into a bubble, kind of like a soap bubble, all right? And just feel that love energy, and just placing it directly into the black ball. Okay, so just feel that energy moving into the black ball right now. Right, feeling all of that white liquid coming into the black ball, and starting to see that black ball starting to turn white. As you're bringing in positive reinforcement, you're feeling love, you're feeling compassion, you're feeling joy, you're going into your perfect space. If you guys have already done the clarity technique, then you know, right? You go into your perfect space, you create a perfect space, you smile, right? That's where we're going. We're taking all of that energy now, and we're going to put it into the ball in the center of the chest. We're seeing it now turning white. Okay, feeling all of that love energy, just seeing all of that tension energy, that stress energy, that chaotic energy just melting away, and seeing this alchemy effect within the center of your chest inside this ball turning white. As it turns white, all of the black roots that were once connected to your body are now turning white as well too. And just take a moment now to funnel all of that pure love energy directly into your body, into the shoulders, into the head, into the stomach, into the knees, wherever you feel your body requires it. And just letting that love energy flow directly into your body. And make this as real, as vivid to you as possible. This is what brings about the greater beneficial effects. Okay? We'll take a deep breath in, deep breath out. All right. And that is the black ball, white ball exercise. Okay, so continue to work with that. Work with the clarity technique as well too, so I think that will benefit you the most. All right. Okay, everybody, so that is our healing. That's all done. We're now going to go ahead and move on to questions. So if you do have questions for Adronis and myself, you can feel free to post. If you guys do use contributions, donations, your question gets front of the line, and I'll definitely be happy to look into it for you. Please, no personal questions, everybody. Okay, personal questions are for private sessions, and you can use it also for the Q&A forum coming up in about a week, less than a week and a half here on June 20th. All right, so just some semi-personal general questions only. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with any Q&A that you guys have. Okay, this one is from Asium Dio. Question for both Brad and Adronis. All right. Hello, Asium. Let me just firstly go to this. Okay, there we go. There's the live chat. So, question for both Brad and Adronis. How to find perfect balance between offering paid content and free content as spiritual teachers and creators, like Brad does so well. Please also ask Adronis for his take too. Okay, well, he doesn't really have any information on that. His take on it would basically just be, you do whatever you feel your heart tells you. You work with whatever you feel you are content in doing. Now, again, like I said, it's been an old argument that I've been a part of for near 13 years doing this work, right, online, is that people will basically say that you have kind of a mix between paid content and free content, right? When I was doing a lot of paid work, because when I first started channeling Adronis, I did it for donations, right? I did donation-based channeling for him. And I noticed that when I actually added a price to channeling Adronis, I got better clients, all right? And that's just the truth. When I had free clients, it just wasn't very good. It didn't feel very synergetic. It kind of felt like one person was in a different wavelength than the other, and it didn't feel good, right? But when I added a price tag to it, right, that actually felt better. It actually felt better when I started charging people for private sessions, like I still do to this day, okay? And the quality improved. Now, it wasn't so much about the people, it was more so about myself, right? I wanted to look at the value. If I basically just give all this stuff away for free regarding private sessions and such, then I'm basically saying, well, this is just something that anybody can have, and it really doesn't have any value to it, right? Money in this world represents an energetic, physical manifestation of value and worth, right? So when you have a private session with Adronis for 10, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, you're getting a great value of this because the price therefore shares that. So I'm putting out that energetic, and I notice that when I'm doing these paid sessions, everything flows nice and smoothly, everything feels very, very well, right? So I personally am in favor of that, right? Doing paid content. But in the past, I have had people come up to me and say, Brad, why are you charging for this? Why are you charging for channeling Adronis? This information should be free for us, right? People have also asked Daryl Anka that, right, in the past. I mean, I talked to Daryl Anka in 2009. My video with him is on a YouTube channel, right, where I was basically calling in on a radio station with him, and I got some really great information. It was actually thanks to Daryl that I was able to channel Adronis as good as I do, right? He really assisted me, and not just through the radio interview that I did with him, but also just we shared emails back and forth, and he really encouraged me, because in the old days, I thought that if I needed to channel well, I needed to be in trance. I needed to be in deep trance. I needed to basically zonk myself out and then just have Adronis come through, even though Adronis is saying you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that, right? It's a state of heightened connectivity. You are not really in a trance. When I'm going into the channeling state, guys, I am not in a trance, okay? It is a heightened state of connectivity. It's very similar to how Daryl channels Bashar, because Daryl was giving me pointers in the earlier days when I was just starting to get into vocal channeling with Adronis. Daryl Anka would give me some pointers about that, about some type of meditations that he would do. He would talk about and saying that I don't go into trance. I don't go into trance. I just go into states of heightened connectivity, right? He says scientists basically wired his head up and saw that when he was channeling Bashar, that all of these levels, these brainwave states, would step up a lot more, and that it wasn't a trance state. It was just a state of heightened connectivity. And I use this device here, okay, the Muse headset, and I notice the exact same thing with the readings I get when I start channeling Adronis. I'm not in a trance, but everything steps up, right? The alpha, the theta, the delta, even the gamma goes up quite a bit, up to about 70 decibels, right? when Adronis comes through, right? And I'm still very much here. It's like a turntable, right? I'm here, Adronis is here. When I start channeling him, the turntable happens, all right? So that again is basically the channeling state that I do. So again, people would get a little peeved with me, right? Thinking, Brad, why are you charging for this? Because the whole idea is that when I put worth, when I put value into all of this, people take it more seriously, right? If I'm basically just putting a lot of free stuff out there, like I love doing this. I love doing the weekly broadcasts, the New Earth TV Live. It's great because it's things that I teach through flow, through source, that comes through that I feel is important for everybody to naturally have, right? This is why I put up the BCRTC technique. This is why I put up the clarity technique and different techniques like that. I offer them freely because this is something naturally everybody should have. But when it comes to sessions, everybody is in their own universe, right? And so when that happens, it's a deep time. It's something that a person is knowing that they're getting a great value out of talking to me, out of talking to Adronis for that 30 minutes or 60 minutes of time, whatever it may be. So being able to find a perfect balance is entirely up to you. Okay, there are people who are happy with just being able to offer their insight relating to private sessions or whatever it is that they do. They're fine doing donation-based stuff. Some people will do it for free. Some people will charge way more than I do, right? There's nothing wrong with any of that whatsoever, okay? It's just a personal preference to the person, to the individual who's giving that, right? So I've always said, and Daryl Anka has always said as well too, because he got that question a lot as well. So why are you charging for this stuff? This information should be free. And I really liked Daryl's response. He said, yes, that's right. The information is free. Get it yourself. Okay. So it's, like I said, it's kind of a catch-22 here, that you're not paying for the information. You're paying for the service for someone to go in and receive information because you're not willing to do it yourself, right? It's a service. It's no more different than a person going to a yoga teacher, right, and learning yoga. It's no more different than a person going to a Reiki teacher and learning how to do Reiki or learning how to do acupuncture. All these things, right? When you're looking at channeling, it's a craft. It's a craft like nothing else. You're looking into mediumship. It's a craft. You're looking into healing. It's a craft. You're looking into yoga. It's a craft, right? It's all these things. It goes beyond the idea of just a simple technique. There's so much to it. But again, it's like it's its own world, right? So again, you are paying for that service. So this is why I create a fine balance in that. I can't teach you guys how to do that, right? You have to do it yourself. You guys, there's not 8 billion clones of Brad here on this planet that I'm talking to. You guys have to find the perfect balance. Now, I've advised a lot of people in the past when they've done sessions with me and saying, well, what can I do? Because I'm doing something similar to you, like I'm not doing channeling, but I'm doing mediumship work, I'm doing healing work, what can I do? I said, well, you want to offer some free stuff to people. You want to offer some free samples. You want to create a website, you want to have business cards, you want to do these things, right? Get yourself out there, offer some free samples to people. And then when they come to you and you want to do a private session, there you go. You got some people who said, yeah, I heard about you through your YouTube channel or through your business card or through this free sample meditation that you're doing, etc. That's what I did when I first started. I just started creating some free samples, right? I did some free material and I had my YouTube channel as well too, and putting up information, and just word of me spread throughout the entire interwebs, right? And then I started getting more and more people. But it took a while. It took a while for me to actually live off of doing this. It took me a couple of years. It wasn't something that just happened just like this. I had to really, really build myself up. I had to really promote myself. I had to work together with other people. You got to do that, right? You cannot just be a lone wolf. We're all here to assist. We're all here to work together with each other, all right? So, Asim, that is what I can share with you regarding that. But Adronis doesn't really have say in this. He basically just says, you just do whatever you feel is good. He said, we're just here to assist. However you want to bring in your content is entirely up to you. That's not our call. That is your call as an entity here on your planet, right? So he's always shared that. He's never discriminatory about how this comes about, right? The perfect balance is always through the channel. Okay, so let's go on now to the next question here. Carrie Graham just says, tell us about vaccinated people. I'd rather not. Okay, I've already talked about that last week, about people who are vaccinated. I mean, people are just getting so scared. They're just putting so much fear into this. Okay, if you guys have not tuned into last week's broadcast, you can find out more about it there. All right, I've talked a little bit about it pertaining to vaxxed people in that way. People are just basically screwed. I also talked about it in episode number 1 of the Adronis webinar. Okay, Adronis went into some detail with it. He said it's nothing to be concerned about, right? Some people are just so concerned with things that if people get vaccinated, then blah, 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 am I going to be able to hang out with them? Am I going to get infected with them? Guys, that's nothing more than a bunch of propaganda, okay? Unless you're actually having salivary exchange, blood exchange, sexual exchange with your partner who has been vaccinated, then maybe you may have certain forms of issues, okay? But it's just a matter about monitoring yourself. Everybody's different. You may have such a strong immune system that you will not be touched by that, okay? There's no guarantee that what a person is going through when they're vaccinated, that something is spreading because they're shedding in that way. Right? That's the term that people are saying because of the high spike of proteins or something of that nature in the body. It's no more different than if you were getting other vaccinations as well too. You may get ill, right? This is a different type of vaccination. It's much more dirtier, yes. But again, it's all just based upon your own personal preference. Some people will decide to keep distance from people who are vaccinated. But again, all that Adronis has really shared is that unless you're actually exchanging blood or you're exchanging saliva or you're sexually active with each other in that way, then that may be where there may be some things coming together. But that's really all it is. It's not about looking at a zombie infestation here where someone's so vaccinated all of a sudden they turn into a zombie, right? It's not about that. So the whole idea is that work with yourself, okay? Work with your own immune system, keep track of yourself, stay in tune with yourself. Okay, guys, I go out into the world. I interact with a lot of people, hundreds of people throughout the day. I have not been sick once, okay? And the people that I have interacted with have been vaccinated, okay? There have been some vaccinated people. Brad, have you ever been sick in regards to that? Not a single time, right? And again, this is just the idea of people who think it's airborne, right? I think if they're 6 feet away from you, they're 5 feet away from you. I've talked to people that are closer to me, right? 2-3 feet away from me, okay? But again, I have not had any ill effects whatsoever, and that is with vaccinated and non-vaccinated people, okay? So no, I talk to people also who are non-vaccinated, who are talking to vaccinated people all the time. Nothing happening to them, okay? So again, it's a lot of fear. We basically have to be very careful of going on the internet and thinking that you guys are going to receive the unadulterated truth of a situation that's going to happen, okay? Like I said, guys, about 90% of the stuff that you find on the internet is complete and total bullshit, okay? Only about 10% is actually decent stuff, and there's still some parts of it missing as well too. It's no more different than going into the supermarket and raiding those newspaper tabloids, okay, in many different ways. There's about 10% of it that may actually be legitimate stuff, okay? But 90% is, oh, don't go near a person, you'll get infected and you'll get a virus and all that stuff. And you guys are just buying into that fear, and that's not helping you at all. You are letting the ego dominate you. You are letting your emotions dominate you, and you're not thinking about this. You're not going within, you're not tuning into yourself, you're not listening to you. You're not working with divination, you're not listening to your own inner self, and of course you're going to be completely bewildered by all of this fear porn that again floods the internet. The internet really isn't that much better from television, guys. It really isn't. If you're looking at all these mainstream websites and information websites and some of even these grassroots websites where people make this stuff up and they just think they will get a rise. Hey, this is going to get me attention. This is going to get me more subscribers. If I start telling people, hey, get away from other people who are vaccinated, get them away, right? Make sure you don't touch them. They're like zombies, okay? You have to look at your own discernment here, right? I'm not here to run your life. No one is here to run your life. You have to be responsible for yourself. You need to observe, right? Get your notebook out. I went out today. I went to the supermarket, okay? I went to this little gathering that was happening. I was around friends, etc. How am I feeling? This happened 2 days ago. How am I feeling? Am I down in the dumps? Am I feeling bad? No, I feel great. I feel right as rain. Everything feels great. Good. I've done a check-in with myself. I've done divination. I've looked into myself. Everything is good, all right? You guys just go too much into this fear, and that's not going to help you. That is what's going to create more sickness through you. Not through the idea of a virus itself, but the fear is the virus. You got to be aware of that, right? Your ego is the greatest virus there is, right? Forget about the idea of COVID and the idea of a vaccine. Your own ego is the greatest virus that exists. It is the greatest parasite, and that is what needs to be trimmed down. It is ignorance through the ego that is the greatest virus. You got to work on that. You got to clear that out. That's very important. I actually did an article on this last Sunday through the New Earth newsletter. By the way, if you guys want to sign up for the newsletter, it's newearthteachings.com/newsletter. Okay? So again, I did a video on that, or an article on that, and you should read that. It's on the blog of newearthteachings.com. All right, so go ahead and check that out. Okay, let's move on now to another question. I'm remembering to go on to the live chat window here. Okay, this is from Len. Len says, a question for Adronis. Earth is often said to be one of the most challenging mastery schools in existence. What other extremely challenging schools are there, and what themes are they exploring? Okay, let me go ahead and bring Adronis in for this, and he can share some insight on this. One moment. Terra Soul Star Sirius Adronis we are here. At this time, we bid you greetings, and thank you very much for the opportunity of this interaction today. I am Adronis of Sirius, sending love, appreciation, and gratitude to all who are tuning into this transmission through your internet collective consciousness. We thank you very much for your question about the idea of Earth, and how she is indeed, as you could say, the most challenging university or school that exists. Well, that is correct. Because again, there is no other planet in existence that has the level of contrast, the broadness of contrast like the Earth does. Many of you are asking about the question about what about other planets? It doesn't matter really. Because again, they do not have the challenges that Earth does. They do not have the challenges that human beings do. As you go throughout your own progress here upon Earth, you are learning things as a student, of learning what not to do, how not to behave, what the ego has truly done for you, what ignorance has truly done for you, and the dissolvement of the ego and the dissolvement of the ignorance. Therefore, in time, when you become a galactic-based civilization, you will see other planets. Yes, you will go to other worlds, other Earth-like planets in that sense, but they will be nothing like the Earth. This is why we really cannot tell you, because their systems are very different from yours. You don't really have rapport to hear it at this particular time. They work in different levels of society that would only just bring you into greater confusion, and in that sense, greater intrigue. And that is actually distracting you more so about what you're here to do now. So yes, there are other challenging schools throughout the cosmos, of course. But if you're looking at the grand university, it is indeed the Earth. She is the most challenging. Because again, it's the contrast that's available here. This is why we have termed the Earth as the God world. It's a world of gods. A world of gods in training, yes. And those who are knowing that they are God, that they are the self, that they are I. There's no other school like that. So when you're looking at the idea of saying, well, Adronis, what about these other planets? What are they like? Nowhere near the extremes of Earth. Differently run. They are different planes. You're not just looking at a floating ball in space. You're looking at another plane of existence. You're looking at its own rules. You're looking at its own ways. You're looking at its own architecture relating to societies, animal life. It goes into very, very deep levels of awareness. Something, again, that will only bring about curiosity and confusion should we reveal this to you. But no, their challenges are nowhere near the levels of contrast that you humans have. This is why you humans are indeed the masters. This is indeed why you humans are gods in training, because what you are doing here on Earth will impact the entire universe. No other school is like that. So we are attempting to tell you the importance of being here on the Earth at this time, because this is the epicenter to where everything can change. That's how powerful you human beings are, but you don't realize it. Oh, Adronis, we're just these entities in these genetic suits, in these flesh bodies. How can we be so powerful? Because you haven't even begun to tap into yourself. You do not even know the power of your own thought. You do not even know the power of your own feelings. Yet those around you who are in observation are well aware. We are well aware of the God-like power of your thoughts that you have. This is why you're quarantined. Because if you simply wander around the entire universe in an undisciplined manner, you can destroy worlds with thoughts. You can rip open holes and tears into different dimensions just through corrupt thinking. You do not understand how the universe actually works. You do not have that yet. That's not in your science books. You have to understand that the nature of the universe is a construct. And it is a construct that is, again, vibratorily active through the nature of thought, because that's what makes the universe what it is. It is a thought construct. And if you therefore come throughout the universe to where there are misdeeds based upon your thought, you can create destruction. Where you are unstable, you can therefore be threatening to yourself and to others. This is why you're here on the earth, so that you can learn to discipline yourself. You are not going to become a galactic community by having an inflamed ego and being inflamed with ignorance. That's got to go. As that goes, then you're moving yourself into a higher alignment where you can work with other civilizations. Because again, they are very much aware of how the universe works. You humans don't. You may look in the idea of certain forms of metaphysical properties, but that's just, as you would say, preschool kindergarten learning. If you really want to know what the advanced forms are, you look to your yogis. You look to your sages. You look to your masters. That is the true learning. That is where, when you abide through what they are telling you, because they are the ones that know the universe. They are the ones that know God. It is not the idea of this law of attraction and coping with the ego, etc., type teachings that you are working with. That is not understanding the universe. You have to understand the power of your thought. You have to know the power of your feelings. You have to see yourself beyond the physical body here. Because this is, again, what you're still in the process of learning. In time, you will start to realize this. But only certain amounts of people will be granted in going to these higher planes and interacting with other societies in your short times ahead, because they have disciplined themselves. They know the self. And therefore it's those ones that are going into higher planes, that are going into these other realms, representing other worlds and teaching other societies, because the societies work so much more differently than what you are experiencing right now. You have to meet yourself at a certain collective spot, at a certain collective culmination, for us to actually give you specifics about what many of these civilizations are like, because you would not be able to find rapport with them right now. They exist in a world very different from you. And these are the ones that we work with. It is the idea, and here's the only hint we can give. There is no war. There is no poverty. There is no internal fighting. There is no self-conflict. There is no fighting with others relating to idealisms or opinions. It is nothing like that at all. Well, I can't get how a civilization like that would come together. Exactly. That's why we really do not have a point of reference for you right now. You have to experience it yourself in order for you to truly grasp how they were able to do this, how they were able to move together in that way. At a certain point, this information can be revealed. But that's really the majority of the civilizations that we connect with. That everything that you feel you are going through pertaining to conflict, they have none of that, because they have been able to outgrow it. They have been able to evolve through it. And you have to evolve through this in your own way, because each of them have uniquely done it. There is no just one formula. But there certainly is the signs of cycles letting us know that, yes, they have reached this particular stage of their evolution. They have reached this particular degree to where now they can start understanding how these civilizations became what they are. Because it is nothing like the states of society that you are experiencing on your planet right now. To them, that's the Neanderthal. Where they are right now, in their own advanced societies, in time, you too will be there as well. But you have to go through all of this through yourselves, through cooperation, through working together, through helping each other out, rather than throwing ridicule back and forth at each other, because that is how they would term Neanderthal behavior. It is no more different than just watching a bunch of Neanderthals complaining to one another about everything relating to a world that you all share and the people upon it to where you all live together. This is what they term as that Neanderthal state. And it's to get out of it, because that Neanderthal state is created by the ego. It's created by ignorance. That is not going to enlighten you. That is not going to brighten you. That is what's going to bury you. If you truly want to understand how to work together as a people, that has to go. As that goes, now you're going to have your own illumination about how other civilizations function. But you are never going to understand it as long as you are completely buried with ego, ignorance, in that particular type of Neanderthal state, as the galactic community refers to it as. This is not a judgment, but it's letting you know that this is the current state that you're in. It's a state on a collective level. But in time, it is going to bring about clarity, because you're going through a very powerful transition right now. You're going through a fever time right now. And with that heightened fever, they may be, again, irrational thoughts, irrational thinking, panic. And this, again, is a Neanderthal state. And as you move through that, you come into the light, as it were. And now there is illumination, because this Neanderthal state, this fever state that you're going through, is not going to last. It's temporary. It is going to subside, but it will subside quicker when you start working together as a people, rather than putting yourselves in division and saying, this person's vaccinated, I'm not vaccinated. Well, I guess we need to fight. We need to be indifferent in that way. Neanderthal state. Everybody here upon your planet, regardless of their choices, their opinions, their ethnicities, their background, doesn't matter. You're all in this together as one, as a society, as a civilization. Act like it. And when you do, you will see these things coming to you. Illumination about how the world is going to transform, because in time the earth will be much like these other civilizations upon these other worlds, in these other planes. It will be a society you can't imagine actually has come together. That's how brilliant it will be. And it will be even more powerful on earth when that is established. All right? We thank you very much for your question. Okay, very good. So thank you very much, Lynn, for your question. All right, we're going to go ahead and move down to some other questions here. Okay, here's one from, actually we had a donation. I think the donation slipped away. Let me see if I can find it here. I know someone donated $5. Okay, that was from Bonnie. Bonnie, thank you very much. I know I saw it, but I didn't see a question with your with your contribution, so I just wanted to double check with that. Okay. Let me just see if I can go back to where I was, if I can find it. Okay, here we go. This one is from K-Tool. K-Tool says, a question: I've heard in near future spiritual abilities. I'm sorry, let me just go to this window first. There we go. Okay, K-Tool says, I have heard in near future spiritual abilities, DNA activation of many humans will start to awaken. Please explain how that works. That's happening right now, okay? DNA activation is, again, somewhat perplexing, and it's misinformed, okay? Your DNA is changing all the time. It is not just in a stagnancy. Now, Adronis has talked about this many times to people, because in private sessions, the idea of DNA activation is quite popular, right? Adronis says you are always activating all the time. You are always going through shifts. Your DNA is never static. You have to see it like a river, okay? The river is always flowing. Now, at times there will be eddies, there will be currents, and there may be some tidal waves relating to DNA transformation, right? He didn't really call it activation, more so transformation. DNA configuring, DNA transmutation, right, is another way of putting it. But again, it's really through the alleviation of your own ignorance. As you start to, therefore, destroy the ego, you start to eliminate it, because that's what you do. Okay, guys? And that's another thing I'll probably get into as a segue. But basically, to your question, K-Tool, is that DNA activation, like I said, or just DNA transmutation, right, is always taking place. Now, these gigantic aspects in regards to the DNA tidal waves take place when you basically go through shifts of life changes, okay? If you decide all of a sudden that you were eating meat for a long time and all of a sudden you become vegetarian, there's a gigantic transmutation taking place within your body that makes that decision. If you leave an old work because you're realizing it was causing you a lot of pain and you were being completely just drained by that work, and all of a sudden you're moving into a new shift where you're now starting to become an entrepreneur and you're creating something that is much more in alignment with you, that's a gigantic DNA tidal wave, okay? When a person is starting to develop themselves over time, maybe they develop a psychic ability in that way, there's a tidal wave that happens, okay? So it's these orientations of different changes, of different shifts that take place within oneself that is therefore giving the indication of DNA transformation, okay? So that's what it is. It all comes to the idea of life cyclic changes, of moving into newly awoken paths, okay? And then that is, again, a continual process. Everything flows. Everything flows with DNA. It's not a static system, okay? Everything pertaining to the universe flows like a river. There is nothing in the universe naturally that exists as a static degree or a static property, okay? Everything in the universe flows naturally. Everything flows. Everything is, again, going through the state of change. It is only when you come into true self that you are able to see the grand picture of everything. It is for you to know the self. It is for you to know God. It is for you to know the I. When you are there, everything is available to you if you want. People will just stay in the bliss of that stillness, of that unchangeability of the self, of God, right? But DNA by itself will always transform. So like I said, it's very important that you are dissolving and destroying the ego. That's how it works, right? There are many metaphysical teachers, spiritual teachers in that sense, and bless them all. They're wonderful, okay? But what a lot of them teach you is how to cope with the ego, okay? It's ego coping, and that's useless, right? They say, okay, well, you're in a low vibrational state, so move up into a higher vibrational state and assign a new belief system into a higher vibrational state so you can move yourself into this higher degree. Okay, you're expanding a box. That's all you're doing. Okay? No offense, but that is completely useless information. All right? The whole idea here is for you to completely alleviate ignorance. It is to look at the source pertaining to where the ego's ignorance is, and being able to see it for what it is, right? You're going into I, right? Ramana Maharshi did this exceptionally, masterfully, with self-inquiry, okay? I have gone through that. I have gone through a lot of my ignorance, and I've cleared it out. And I know God. I know the self, okay? Wasn't really going to mention that just yet, but it is what it is, okay? I'm going to be teaching more about phase 2 teachings. Okay, I've talked about this in the past, that there's phase 0, there's phase 1, and there's phase 2. Okay, phase 1 teachings is the idea of mind teachings. Okay, when you're teaching of the mind in that sense, this is again where we talk about low vibration, high vibration, etc. Yes, it's important to go into high vibration, but it's not about assigning other beliefs to it, right? Beliefs in that sense are toxicities. They are conditions, they are walls. You don't want to assign in higher belief systems, okay? You want to look at the source, you want to look at the root pertaining to where the obstruction lies and see it for what it is. And you're looking at it from the self's point of view, rather. But rather just the self's nature would be the more appropriate word here. So you're looking at all of these things and you're dissolving it. And you're just seeing it for what it is. Go beyond the body, go beyond mind, right? And come into the self. Come into I. Come into God. And you release. You release, 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 release. You do not cope. You don't cope, and you don't feel like you have to try to establish a bigger box of the mind. If you are playing with the mind, you're never going to be free. Simple as that. The mind is a flawed instrument. It does not know God. To know God, you need to go beyond body and mind. You go beyond this universe. You go beyond the creation as well too. You go beyond the manifest, and you come into the unmanifest. You come into stillness. You come into God. You come into the creative. That's phase 2, right? Phase 2 is the creative path. I used to call it the creator's path, but it's not the creator's path. It's the creative path, right? Phase 0 is body survival, right? It's the idea of pure ego. It's the idea of pure body, that you're only just living to survive. You're living to try and fight your way through life, right? You're just struggling all the time. It's all survival, right? It's like the people fighting in the pit. That's phase 0. Phase 1 is you're getting much more into mind awareness, right? You're aware of the mind. You're looking into all these things for mind principles. You're working with vibration, etc. You may start to work with psychic abilities, with intuitive senses in that sense, and that's all fine and good, right? That's all part of a process. And then you move into phase 2, the creative path. The God path. You work with self. You work with I. You work with God. You are God, right? You are never not the self. You are never not God. You're always God. You're always the self. You are always I. It is just the falsities pertaining to the veil of ignorance that we put upon ourselves that is telling us this is us in tragedy. This is us in conflict. And in order for us to melt all that away, you go to God. You go to the self. You go to phase 2. All right? So I'll be talking a lot more about this in videos to come in the near future. Okay? So again, with DNA activation, that's its nature. That's how it works. Okay? All right. I got a $10 donation here. And Betty, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Okay. Okay, Summer Nova. I was about to call you Supernova here. Let's go back to here. Summer Nova asks, hi Brad, can you say something more about the energy deck? Is it for if you're low on energy or... Well, yes, in a way, it is. The energy deck is basically taking the natural living force of vital elements within ourselves. So basically you're looking at replenishing the vital energy within the body. So there's many different things, right? We can basically look at PEMF energy, right? And being able to capture that and put that into a card and being able to use that, right? We can look into the idea of the chi, the vital force within certain supplements that are powerful, and we capture that energy and we put it into a card, right? So I'm still developing the energy deck. I don't have a big list of everything ready yet. I have a few ideas for it, but like I said, I'm probably going to be working on it around August or September of this year, and it will roll out before the start of the new year, right? It'll take a while because there's going to be 44 cards on it. So basically that's the idea, is we're taking the property of potent energy beneficial for the body and we're putting it into a card, okay? So like a PMF mat, and basically taking the PMF frequency and being able to utilize that, or basically taking the energy of orgone, right, and being able to put that into a card, right? So all of that is the key with the energy. So the energy deck is working with the vital energy of beneficial forms for ourselves so that we can utilize that, okay? So there's more ideas for it as well too. So once I have the full list, I'll give you guys more of a teaser. Okay, thank you for your question. Okay. Yes, Maya Man just says, loved your share on the nature of the sun and our planet's magnetosphere. Thank you. Yep, keep checking out the check out the episode 2 of New Earth Teachings, the true nature of the sun. If you guys haven't already, it's great. Right, it's one of my best videos I think I've ever done. Okay, let me just go down here a little bit more. Okay, here's a question here, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people have asked this question over the years to others. Davijan asked Adronis, why were the pyramids constructed? What were all of their purposes? Okay, well, we can't really go into all of their purposes, but we can focus on the idea of the Great Pyramid of Giza, because each of them have their own time periods, their own constructs, their own design, etc. It would take a very long time to go into each of them. So I think we'll just go into like the Great Pyramid of Giza, or the Giza complex, all right? And we can look into that. Why pyramids? Why were pyramids here? All right. So Davijan, one moment. Thank you very much for your question. I'll bring Adronis through. We thank you very much, Davijan, for your question. Now again, understand, as Brad has stated, that yes, each pyramid in that sense represents its own construct, because it represents a degree of equilibrium pertaining to the space that it occupies. Now you have to understand that a pyramid is interdimensional. It is not just the idea of a physical dimensional construct, where you're looking into the idea of its geometry pertaining to its physical construct is one thing. But when you're actually looking inside, it is the idea of a heartbeat energetically. It is a living heartbeat, an energetic nucleus to which the pyramid itself represents. Now, the pyramid serves multiple functions, all right? It can be utilized in regards to creating strong fertility upon the land, because again, it is receiving all of this natural vibrational energy, what you would refer to commonly as torsion fields, and again is functioning as that energetic heartbeat. It is in that sense the lifeblood, bringing forward greater fertility, greater vital energy of the entire land. This is also what creates geomagnetic stability. When a pyramid is properly positioned and properly, shall we say, created in its appropriate space, it will harness electromagnetic energy from your planet. And this creates a balancer. This is actually what harmonizes your planet. It is actually what keeps everything in line. If you were to look at the idea of putting a dish on top of a pole and basically seeing it wobble, what a pyramid will do is it will actually keep a stabilization together intact. It is energizing the appropriate ley lines upon your planet to create further states of stabilization. It is also anchoring your planet in regards to certain degrees of dimensional stability as well. So it stabilizes the earth physically, it stabilizes the earth energetically. It is also in that sense a part of a network. This is why different civilizations have built and constructed pyramids at particular points, because they all represent particular networks. Now, that network is still online. It is not as active as it once was, but it is still there. And therefore, this network is like looking at the brain of the earth. It's the idea of these synaptic patterns. It's the idea of these neural pathways. It is basically anchoring in other dimensions alongside your planet to bring about, again, increased levels of stability. Now, again, as we've stated, there are multiple purposes for the nature of the pyramid. Many of you will use the idea of a pyramid in regards to your own inner expansions, and it can do that as well too, because it, again, is a natural reservoir. It is tapping in as a heartbeat to bringing in all of this intelligent energy. It can, again, help to purify common food items, common organic supplements as well as yourselves. For you are organic. Your body is organic. It can purify you. It can refine you. It can rejuvenate you. So again, when you're looking at the pyramid complex, it was all part of creating this neural network energetically throughout the earth, to where there would be certain positioned pyramids at appropriate spaces, built at appropriate times, to therefore anchor in this neural network that, again, serves in different dimensions, not just through the idea of the physical dimension. So it is anchoring all of these energetic earths together. It is, yes, prospering throughout your land. It is creating healthy foundation throughout your land. It works together in regards to your own inner awareness and inner expansion as well too. And it also taps into the electromagnetic grids of your planet, therefore creating that neural stability, energetically speaking. All right? This is what we can share at this time pertaining to the nature and the construct of the pyramids. We thank you. Okay, great. Thank you very much for your question. So let's go down the list here a bit more. Going down. Okay, here's a question here from Lynette. Okay, Lynette asks, when ET beings have a humanoid form, is humanoid a term used outside of Earth to describe beings that look like humans? If not, what do other beings call beings that look like humans? Well, the universal term is quite often just humanoid, right? For us, we could be commonly referred to as Terrans, right? Or Gaians in that way, or human beings in that way. So it all depends. It all depends upon the culture. Different cultures have different names for everybody, right? So, yeah, it depends. From what Adronis always refers to us, always refers to us as human beings, right? He's never really referred to us as Terrans or anything of that nature. Some will simply refer to us as entities in that way. It all depends. There's just different cultures that say different things. Okay? Thank you, Lynette. Okay, going down the list here. Okay. Okay, here's one from Bonnie. Bonnie has a question here. Bonnie Lancy. She said, question for you, and you contributed earlier, so thank you. Thank you, Bonnie, for that. So question for Adronis and or Brad. Are natural remedies like herbs and essential oils going to be more mainstream and recognized in the coming years? Now, one thing you guys will notice is you notice how I say herbs and I don't say herbs? That's a personal choice, okay? I just don't like the way the word herbs sounds, all right? To me, it sounds not good, right? So I basically use the English term of herbs, right? So if you hear me saying herbs, that's why. It's not because I'm English. It's just because that's the term I prefer to call them, right? I like the sound better. You're a human being. You have choice. So if you want to say words in your own way, do it, right? So anyways, yes, are natural remedies like herbs and essential oils going to be more mainstream and recognized in the coming years? Well, they already are, right? I mean, this is why people are starting to switch off of mainstream medicines from pharmaceutical companies and so forth. And they're moving much more into herbs and essential oil because they're looking for change. They're looking for something that will actually heal them. They're not trying to mask the problem or creating them into a zombified state or a numb state or anything of that nature. So yes, it is starting to become a lot more popular. It's not going to happen on CNN because, again, you have greed, right? You have greed and you have control with a lot of those mainstream networks. Don't listen to them, right? Basically, I mean, a lot of those mainstream media networks are going so down in the ratings that it's doubtful that they'll last any longer. They have to either go through immense change and go with the flow, or they're going to plummet and they're going to fall. So it's basically that idea. So a lot of people, right? And like I said, guys, I've talked to thousands of people all over the world for the past 13 years, okay? Many of them are aware of herbal tonics, of essential oils, of the power of organic supplements, right? They're all aware of it, okay? It's not something that is grassroots. It's not underground anymore. Okay, it is actually quite mainstream, but it's mainstream on a different level. It's more so through word of mouth. It's through the idea of the positive viral effect that is bringing everybody. So yes, it's continuing to happen. It's powerfully available right now, right? I'm personally working with ozone treatment. I'm working with hydrogen water in that sense. Yeah, it's not a herb, right? But it is certainly a natural remedy, and I'm definitely feeling a difference. A lot more energy, a lot more vitality flowing through me just by doing something like that alone, okay? So the idea of what was originally alternative is truly mainstream. It's just not through the mainstream, all right? Thank you, Bonnie, for your question. Okay, go down the list here a bit more. Oops, let me just go to the other. I'm doing this switch between cameras because when I go back and I actually create the contents list for everything that's there, it's kind of a marker letting me know that, okay, this part I went into questions, so it just makes the easier part when I put the contents and the time codes in so that you guys can skip ahead to the appropriate chapters. Makes it a little bit easier for me. Okay, let me go down the list a bit more. Okay, Tom asks, Brad, what are the throat and root chakras of our planet? That depends. Everybody has a different perspective in regards to what the actual chakra centers of the planet are, right? I mean, I've been to Mount Shasta, right? To me, that feels like the crown chakra of the planet, okay? But some people say that it's also the root chakra, okay? The heart chakra of the planet, many people feel it's Hawaii, okay? Or the throat chakra of the planet, I think it's somewhere in India or something of that nature. I don't know the entire conversation of it. But the whole idea is that as you are there and visiting these sites yourself, you will determine that, right? Some people just have different ideas. I don't think there's really a common agreement in regards to what the chakra centers are of the planet. The whole idea, again, really doesn't matter, right? It's important that you know your chakra centers. It's important that you know your network, okay? And you can work together with the planet. And if you want to send energy, send loving energy into the chakras of the planet, you tell that, and the superconscious, the intelligence, will certainly put it there. But there's a lot of mixed views relating to the idea of what the chakra centers of the planet are, right? Everybody will have their different view. Like I said, I feel Mount Shasta is like a crown chakra because that's certainly what it felt like when I was there, okay? But some people will say it's the root chakra, okay? Mount Fuji is often said to be the solar plexus chakra of the planet, okay? I haven't been there yet, so I have to see it for myself to kind of get an impression of what it is. So the best thing to do is look into these sites yourself, whether you're doing it physically or virtually, and see what you're able to discover through it, okay? Okay, just give me a minute here, guys. I'm just looking at some more questions here. Okay, well, this is quite a common question that I get, but I'll put some more insight on it anyways, okay? Maya Man asks, thoughts on ET disclosure and ET contact, okay? So Adronis talked about this. I believe he was talking about it through episode number 1 of the Adronis Q&A. This is why you guys got to tune into it, right? There's some really great revealing that Adronis does through the Q&A forum that he does not talk about here, okay? So he basically says there's still a ways away before we look into a full contact, right? You'll have little bits of drip, right? There will be drips coming down, because there's a lot of people talking about extraterrestrials right now and UFO sightings and so forth like that. Those are minimal disclosures. It's going to lead to just a small thing, right? For people who have been pursuing this for many years and know a lot about ETs and so forth, what's coming is just going to be like, that was it? Really? That's really what it's going to lead to, right? It's basically leading into an awareness that everybody on the planet will be aware that other civilizations exist, okay? So that's coming, I would say, this year or early into next year, 2021, 2022. That's just basically the momentum of where things are going. But in regards to a full contact situation, we got a lot of changing to do on this planet before that can even happen, right? A lot of people would just want to see, come on, just bring the ships down, bring them down and let them land on the lawns and let's have them come here and then we can form an alliance and stuff. It doesn't work that way, okay? They will never, ever show up until the appropriate cycle, into the right moment comes. Okay, that's somewhere between or after 2050, right? If we're looking into those times. Maybe a couple years before, a couple years after, etc. That's just a rough estimate. That's not even a guarantee, okay? We have a lot of cleaning up and a lot of work to do on this planet. As I've talked about before, I don't need to give you guys a lecture about that. But that's the whole idea. It's, as Adronis said earlier in one of the questions, right, about other civilizations, that we have to really see ourselves grow. We have to get the ignorance out. We got to get out of the Neanderthal state, right, and start working together as a people, where we are cooperating together. We're working together. We're starting to see that now, right? But we're still seeing so many people just in a panic and not knowing what's going on here. And it's very much like the recent video that I put on my YouTube channel, is the benefit to the world's chaos and conflict. Okay, if you haven't watched that one, watch it. Okay, this is all a benefit. This is all a powerful thing when we're seeing all this change taking place. We're seeing all these shifts happening, and we're seeing chaos around. It means that we're never going to be fooled again by these things. It means that it's going to bring people together. People come together in the strongest times of tragedy, and that's what this is leading to. So when everybody starts to work together, to come together, to be here and help each other out, that's a mature civilization, right? So we're getting into a pre-mature civilization, because that's what it's going to lead to, okay? A lot of these things need to happen. A lot of these tragedies still need to happen. A lot of things that are going to piss a lot of you guys off needs to happen, because that's awakening, right? Awakening is when you are getting angry, you're getting mad, you're getting upset because of all these things that you're seeing. That's how awakening happens. It's not about dancing in rainbow light. It's all about being able to see all these things unfolding that you did not see before. It's the alleviation of ignorance, pertaining to these things, thinking that the world is like this. Well, here's a curveball for you. Here's another one. Here's one that's even faster. And you're getting all these curveballs. So, oh my God, this is nothing what I thought the earth was like. Exactly. I don't know what to do anymore. Good. That's a good thing. Now you are starting to look at this. You're starting to see exactly what the world is, and you are taking it in. You're just taking it in. You're not giving an opinion about it. You're not complaining or whining or bitching about it. You're just letting all of this information come in as it needs to, and you're just taking it in. You're just absorbing it all and saying, okay, I'm understanding that the world is like this. I will align. I will adjust. I will adapt. And I will shift myself. And I will see that, again, all of these inner teachings that the mystics, that the sages, that the yogis have taught us for thousands of years, that's the advanced teaching. Just like Adronis was saying earlier. Okay, if we're talking about law of attraction and playing with belief systems and blah, 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 that's a bunch of amateur stuff. That's kindergarten stuff. Okay, when you start looking into what the yogis have been sharing, with what the sages have been sharing, you're looking into the advanced information. This is why I'm basically in that right now myself, is looking into what the masters have shared, not looking into law of attraction and replacing belief systems with more belief systems and all that stuff. That's just a bunch of stuff that'll just go around psychically, right? You're dancing around in circles, and you're dancing around in a bigger circle, then you're dancing around in a bigger circle, okay? It is not to cope with the ego. It's to completely eliminate it, completely demolish it, completely destroy it. And therefore, you are with God. That's the idea. So you dismantle, you destroy, you eliminate the ego through the elimination of your ignorance. You don't feed it anything anymore, right? And so that is all about going to the self, going to I, right? But you have to feel what that I is for yourself, because no one can describe it. I've been there, and I can't describe it, right? Do you feel bliss? Absolutely. Do you feel perfection? Absolutely. But you can't describe it. You cannot describe I. You cannot describe self. You cannot describe God, right? It is just that, it is that perfection. It is that moment. You have to feel it. You have to feel that clarity for yourself. And this is why no mystic has ever talked about it, saying the idea, well, what is it like? We cannot tell you. You have to feel it for yourself. You have to go into this. You have to feel this for yourself, for you to know I, for you to know God. Because when you know God, you know yourself. You know everybody else. It's not about knowing the intellect. It's not about knowing the ego. It's like, okay, Brad, how many fingers do I have behind my back? If you know me right now, then you should know how many fingers I have behind my back. Are you kidding me? No. That's not what this is about. Okay? It's not about getting to know your intellect. If you think that you need to have a perfect memory and you have to intellectually know everything on the planet, you're not knowing God. You are not knowing the I. Okay? You're only working with body and mind consciousness. And that is irrelevant compared to the nature of the self, right? To go into the self is to know who you really are. To go into the self is to know God, right? Just like Jesus said, right? The Father and I are one. You know not me nor my Father. If you knew me, you would know my Father as well too, right? That's the idea, is that you are self. You are God. It's not looking at it as another being, right? This is why Jesus said, the Father and I are one. We're one. I am the Father. I am the Mother. I am the Son. I am the daughter. I am the Christ. I am the Bodhisattva. I am the Buddha, right? All of that is one. It's just one. So again, you have to feel it for yourself. So I would suggest you guys look into self-inquiry, right? I did it one time. I basically looked into it to get the idea about what Ramana Maharshi was talking about. I looked into a lot of these books, these audio books in regards to what he was saying, and the clarity was there. I said, I get what he's saying. I did it one time. Went right to God. One time, right? And again, as soon as you guys know that, you go beyond the body, you go beyond the mind. What Ramana Maharshi did was that he imagined that his body was dead, right? He just had this sudden spell of fear relating to death. And all he did is he made his body completely stiff, as if he was dead. Held his breath as if he was dead and saying, well, I'm still here. I'm still here. I'm greater than the thought. I'm greater than the body. I'm greater than the mind. I'm still here. I. And you go all the way up. You go all the way up into the creative. Go all the way up to self. And it liberates you, right? You don't feel conflicted by anything anymore. You don't feel animosity towards anybody. There's just such a peace that comes over you. You're there. And I mean, this was happening to me last night as well, too. I was just in bed and I was going to I, right? I was aligning to I. And everything just faded away. There was just peace, there was calm, there was tranquility, there was brilliance, right? But you cannot describe I. You have to feel it for yourself. So that's just a reminder of where we're going. And as we move into that advanced state, this is where the entire universe is now yours, right? It's already yours to begin with. You just don't know it is. Ignorance keeps you back. So the alleviation of ignorance, yes, is going to help you to be one with your star family, with ET contact and all that, but it goes far beyond that because that's all just mind stuff, right? You go into self, you are all, you are one, you are perfection, you are unchangeable. It's beautiful, all right? So Maya Man, thank you very much for your question. Okay, let's move on. We're going to take about one or two more questions, guys, and we're going to wrap up here. I think there was another donation here. Okay, there's one here from George. George, thank you so much. I didn't see your donation until now. Hi, Brad. Thank you for these weekly teachings. You're welcome, George. Thank you very much. Okay. So like I said, I think we'll take about 2 or 3 more questions. And we'll wrap up here. I think we've got time for 2 or 3 more. Okay, Cody says, let me just go back here. There we go. Cody says, as conscious co-creators, gods, and bringers of the Christ consciousness, how do we relay the message that bad people are also God themselves? Love, Cody. Okay. Well, who's to say bad people are bad people, right? Again, you're only labeling in that way. When you're looking into the idea of actually being with the self, you don't see any bad people. You don't see good people. You just see souls. That's what you see. It's all just things happening. Because again, it's the ego that wants to say, hey, I got to get this message out and everybody's going to hear it. Everybody's got to hear my message and I have to get it out there or else. Ego, 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 right? You are therefore guided, right? If this is part of what you're here to do, you have to listen to self. You got to listen to God and say, this is where you can bring forward your information. Maybe it's only to a few people and that's all you're here to do. Or maybe you talk to a few groups or maybe go on TV, whatever it is. But it's not the idea of thinking that you yourself have all of the information to set the entire planet free. No. The cycles do not support that idea whatsoever. Okay? You are a part of a grain in the sand alongside the whole beach, right? Along with all these other grains of sand. Because again, guys, I've talked to thousands of people. Thousands of people have that same kind of message. Brad, how do I get this message out to the masses? How do I get people to see that Christ consciousness is here, that we are all God, You can't. Because there's nobody else here. There's only you. You're only battling with yourself because you are not willing to fully understand, to fully accept that you are the Christ consciousness. Do you think that's what Jesus is worried about when he was coming? So, how do I get all this message out to the people? No. He went to where he was guided. The Father spoke through him. The Self spoke his words. He went exactly where he was. He never complained about that, oh, geez, I hope this reaches the entire planet. No, he did what he was here to do. He helped the lost sheep of Israel, right? And through those teachings, therefore, it naturally, in its own time, spread throughout the entire planet, to where he's pretty much the most noticeable and popular person there is. But again, that was all through about 2,000 years of span, okay? So again, he was not concerned about how do I get my message out? How do I, if I have that question, I'm still battling with intellect. I'm still battling with ego. I'm still battling with these combative conflicts of ignorance. Okay? It's not about that. When you go to God, you know what to do. God is guiding you every step of the way. When you are self is guiding you every step of the way. Is it my intention to come on these broadcasts and tell 8 billion people on the planet, you are all God? No, not at all. I'm here to simply do the work as I'm doing right now. However it needs to play itself out is however it needs to play itself out, right? You do not lose that capability of saying, well, if I'm with God, then I just don't do anything. I go meditate in a cave for 20 years. No, you can do anything, absolutely, right? You can still do your work. You can still work with the higher degrees, right? You can still work with the work that you're doing, the business that you're doing. It's all just the idea of it all still being life, right? It's not up to one person to say, Brad, what do we do? What do I do? How do I get people to see this? You can't. There's nobody else here but you. You are only ever going to bring in the life reflections that are representative of yourself to bring that information forward. It's again, as Jesus said, nobody can come to the Father unless the Father who has sent me draws them to me, right? Nobody can come to me unless the Father who sent me draws them to me, okay? What do you think that means, everybody? Is that he was referring to his own reflections in regards to other people, that we term it, right? They brought themselves to him so that he could perform his deeds, okay? It's the same thing with us. We will bring in the life reflections, people, souls, that are part of our reality, and we share this information because we are drawn to them and they are drawn to us, okay? That's the nature of the alignments, the attractions in that way. Think of it in that way. Don't feel that you have to put the suitcase of 8 billion people on your shoulders thinking that you have to carry them to the light. Okay? I've already talked about this. You don't see Buddha and Jesus scooping up a bunch of people, putting them on their shoulders, and then take them into a portal of light. All right? It's not how it works. When you are with self, you know these things. You realize that everything on this planet really doesn't matter. That's the important part, right? Everything that's happening on the planet right now doesn't matter. It's all just a natural cycle. It's no more different than looking at a seed in the dirt and watching it starting to root, right? Watching it starting to stem, watching it starting to grow. It goes through chaos. It goes through absolute chaos in order for that seed to break and to allow these roots to come out and to go through this entire process to come through the dirt and become a beautiful plant. It's all that's happening to us. But we make mountains out of molehills. We think that we're the most important thing there is. It's nothing but arrogance. It's nothing but ignorance. When we look at the greater scheme of things, of life altogether in general, yes, humanity is powerful. Yes, humanity has a lot to it. But it's no more different than just looking at all these seeds upon the field that are sprouting and turning into plants. We don't really matter, right? It's all about looking into the self, of coming into the true reality. Because if you're living in mind reality, you're not living a true reality. The true reality comes from self. The true reality is the stillness. The true reality is that bliss. It's that unchangeability. That's the true nature of I. That's the true reality, right? If If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, please look into Ramana Maharshi's self-inquiry. Okay? Look into that. It opens yourself up more than you can ever imagine. So again, that's the degree here. It kind of reminds me of that video that Jim Carrey did. Right? He was being interviewed by this woman, and he was going to some sort of festival, some sort of gathering. And it was just funny, right? He's looking around and he said, yeah, I just thought I would come to the most meaningless thing I could possibly find. He's like, well, this is it. This is completely meaningless. And he was just completely going over this woman's head. Didn't know what he was talking about in that way. He's saying these are all just things happening. There's just swirls of tetrahedron flowing around here. And I don't even think that you exist, but there's a beautiful fragrance in the air, right? Oh, but there's all these things happening in the world, all these things that are happening that really matter. No, we don't matter. We don't matter. There is no world. That is the most illuminating thing I've ever seen a celebrity say. Right? That's it. He's right on the money, guys. We don't matter. It doesn't matter. None of this matters. It's a veil. It's an illusion. It's mind. And you go beyond that, you just understand things are happening. We're playing a game. It's no more different than us playing on a playground and saying, hey, this game matters, guys. You know, we're playing hopscotch. This game matters. No, it doesn't. It's a game. It's something we're just playing with. It doesn't matter one single bit because I am self. I am immortal. I am eternal. I am forever. I am unchanging. And when I know that, everything's just a game. Everything's just a plaything. Everything's just a tool that we work with. You're free. That's what it is to be I. That's what it is to be self. But you have to feel it for yourself. All right? Going down the list here a bit more. All right. We have another contribution here from Lotus. Lotus says, loving the newsletter. Thank you, Brad and Adronis, for everything. Sending much love and light. Thank you, Lotus. Blessings to you. And thank you for the contribution as well. Glad you're enjoying the newsletter. There's more to come as well, too. Okay. So we're going to take one more question, guys, and we're going to wrap up. Ritzy asked, this won't count, but Richie just asked, what yogis are you following at present, Brad? Well, again, Ramana Maharshi didn't really refer to himself as a yogi, right? He didn't really refer to himself as a guru, but Ramana Maharshi was the person I was looking into, right? I don't really follow a lot of gurus in that sense. I'm aware of certain ones, right? Like I like Paramahansa Yogananda, I have his book, right? And Sri Yukteswar Giri and Lahiri Mahasai, right? Those are great. I don't really follow them, so to speak. I'm just aware of them. But no, I was attracted to Ramana Maharshi because of another person that adopted his teachings as well, too, Lester Levinson, okay? That's another person I would suggest you guys look onto through YouTube because he's basically just teaching Ramana Maharshi's stuff when he was alive on the planet, okay? Lester Levinson, okay? And he was talking a lot about Ramana Maharshi, right? And so you tune into Bhagavan's teachings, this self-inquiry, and that's what I did. Like I said, I was just looking into, because I was constantly hearing about self-inquiry, self-inquiry. Like, what is that? What is self-inquiry? I didn't hear of it. I was aware of Ramana Maharshi, but I didn't look into him too much. And it wasn't until I just felt drawn, right? It's that cycle where you feel drawn and you look into him. And I was getting a little bit of idea about what self-inquiry was. Like, okay, I still need to look a little bit more into it to get understanding of what he's saying, why this worked out so well for him. And that's when I started to look into more of his books, more of his teachings, and I got clarity. I said, okay, I get it. I know what he's doing now with self-inquiry. So I went on my couch, meditated, broke all the barriers, all the piercings of the veils of ignorance, went right to God, right? And it was beautiful. That doesn't even do it justice, right? Anything I say to it doesn't do it justice. But it was complete and total freeness, right? It's aligning to the unchanging, the forever, the immortal, the eternal. I will always be. I will always be. I will always be forever. I will always be eternal. I am forever. I am beyond the body. I am beyond the mind. These are just playthings. This is just stuff happening. It's a play toy. It's a work. It's just things what we're building in a sandcastle here. We're building in a sandbox. It doesn't matter, right? This is, like I said, it's like looking at a bunch of kids playing hopscotch, right? And one of them just being really, really serious. And, come on, guys, take this seriously. This is really, really important. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's just a game. Doesn't matter at all. When you are with God, when you are the I, that's how it is. And that's exactly how I feel about all of life right now, right? Is just to be with I. To be I, because that's who you are. You never lose the I. You never lose the self, right? You never lose God. That's who you are. That's your nature, right? So all you're doing is you're clearing away all the muck. You're clearing away all the ignorance. You're going into the source and saying, who is it that has these thoughts? Well, me. Who am I? And you're looking at the I. Not the body I, not the mind I, but the true I. Okay? So in that sense, all we basically are going through is falsities and illusions, preventing us from seeing who we really are. For when you see who you really are, you are not concerned about anything on the world, because the world is nothing more but a game of incarnation. It's just a veil. It's just a product of mind. It's a product of thoughts. It's just things happening. It is nothing compared to the eyes of God. That's who you really are. When you are there, when you go through self-inquiry, when you come to I, you see this for yourself, because that is exactly how I see the world right now. Do I love all you guys? Of course I do, because you're all me and I'm all you, right? But this is, again, just saying that, everything that we're going to that we think is so important isn't, right? We play with the intellect and we think that we're so smart through the intellect, and the memory is so great with the intellect, and all of this with the intellect. When you're looking into that state of the intellect where you think you're so smart, you're not. You're very, very dumb. Because that's what I've had to say to myself, right? If I'm just playing with these intellect, oh my God, Brad, you're so dumb. You start playing with intellect, you're just really, really dumb, because you're taking it seriously. It's nothing but a veil. You can play with it. You can play with it like a play toy, and that's fine, right? It's just things happening. You go to God, you go to I. There's true reality. There's true nature. There's who you really are. Go to that, okay? All right, so I went off a little bit there. Let me go into the last question, then we're going to wrap up, all right? I'm enjoying our questions today, so that's why I'm on a little bit longer than I usually am today. Okay. So this last question here is for Adronis, and I basically just touched on this, but I'll end it with this here. It's from NM, and question for Adronis: how can we figure out... Sorry, let me take some water here first. I've been talking so much. Okay, and let's make sure I'm on the live chat screen. There we go. Okay. Question is for Adronis: how can we figure out what are the things that are not in the cards for us this life? It is the opposite of the life purpose question, or how to know your purpose. Okay. So this is from NM to Adronis, so he'll talk about this. So how can we figure out what are the things that are not in the cards for us in this life? Okay. We thank you very much, NM, for your question. Well, if you feel that you need to figure out what is not in touch for you in this life, are you going to do that with the intellect? Are you going to do that through the ego? Because it is through the ego and through the intellect that's telling you these things are important when in fact they're not. The only way you're ever going to know what truly serves and what doesn't is exactly as what Brad shared, is when you are the self, is when you are God. This is why we have called you God's in training. The in training part just represents the idea that you're deluded by intellect and by ego and by ignorance. When you drop that, all that remains is what? God. Therefore, as you know yourself to be God, you know who you are. As you know who you are, there is no confusion. The intellect creates confusion through the ego, through the mind, experience through the body. That is not going to lead you into understanding what you're here and not here to do. If you dance around the intellect, if you dance around the ego, if you dance around ignorance, you're never going to know what you feel you're here to do. because all you're here to do is to be yourself. That's it. It's to know that you are God. It's to know that you are the self. It's to know the I. That's the nature of being here on this planet. Once you have done that, you're done. Then you're just here. And things are happening. You're still going through your body. You're still going through life, but you have seen it. You have seen the I. You have seen self. You know the self. You know God. Therefore, there is no confusion anymore. Because again, as you go through that realization of knowing that you are God, because you've always been God, everything starts to work together in a transitional flow where you're just going to where you feel God is taking you. Again, this is what your masters have done through Jesus, through Buddha, through Mahavatar Babaji, through Paramahansa Yogananda, through many others. Great masters upon your planet, as it were. The gods. Not in training, but the gods. Because they know God. You are God. It is not a mystery. It's who you really are. Therefore, when you're wandering around this planet, wondering, should I do this? Should I do that? Am I supposed to do this? Am I not supposed to do that? Who is it that's asking these questions? Someone very confused. Who are you? Who am I? This all goes back into Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi's teaching about understanding I, the true I. Because as long as you play with the intellect, guess what? You're going to be confused. You're going to be concerned. You're going to be upset. You're going to be emotional. And you're dancing around in circles. And again, you will never understand why you are truly here, because you cannot figure it out intellectually. You cannot figure it out through the ego. The ego has to go. As it goes. And you are now God, because you've always been. You see everything here as just cycles. As things that are just happening. Things that are just taking place. And you're just playing. You're living out these things. And you are here to do what you're naturally here to do, because Spirit guides you every step of the way. You're not confused. You're not concerned. You're not conflicted. All that's gone. That's the ego. Because you've seen it at its source and you clear it away. It's gone. It's like the fog dissipating off the land. It's being blown away. There's no more fog. You can now see clearly everything that's upon the land. There's no confusion anymore. So the idea is indeed, yes, self-inquiry. Knowing the I. Knowing self. Knowing God. Because that is how you alleviate confusion. Confusion and conflict, all processes of the ego, of intellect, of ignorance. So, clear that away, and you will know, and you will see. All right? We thank you for this interaction. We will now conclude and return to the conduit. Goodbye for now. Okay. Thank you, NM, for your question. Thank you, everybody, for your questions today. I really appreciate it. Had a great time today with this New Earth TV Live. Went a little bit longer than I usually do, but it's great. We had great conversations. At least I think so anyways. So thank you, everybody, and I will see you again all next Friday for the next New Earth TV Live broadcast. Okay, so you can go on to newearthteachings.com, and you can sign up for the brand new Adronis Q&A forum happening on Sunday, June 20th. Okay, it's $4.99 registration. You can register on Zoom. Again, it says tomorrow, but it's actually available right now. Okay, you can find that on the website. Check out the Healing Code Cards Special Edition as well too. Okay, it's going to be exciting bringing this out. Just another wonderful thing to experience. And again, thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of the week, and I'll speak to you again in another perspective of the now. Take care. Thank you very much for checking out the New Earth Teachings YouTube channel. Feel free to check out my websites, newearthteachings.com, healingcodecards.com, healingcodeshop.com. Go on to healingcodecards.com to grab your body deck and your mind deck, also available in digital versions as well. And of course, you can follow me on social media, on Facebook, on MeWe, and of course on Telegram as well. Thank you again for tuning in, and I'll speak to you again in the next video. Take care and show the way.